I'm sitting here with a thought in my brain, and I figured I might as well turn the camera on to try to get my thoughts out here and see if it kind of works. I think a lot about progress. I think it's an important word that doesn't get used enough or appreciated enough. You know, I think it's one of those things where everyone expects like immediate returns on their work, immediate reaction to what they're doing, and people don't appreciate just the simple progress, the small progresses that they can make in a daily or weekly basis. And I'm actually gonna, I'm probably gonna sit and talk for a while. Like I said, I'm just gonna, this is on my mind, so I'm just gonna sit and talk. Figure out to turn the camera on. Um, I think about back years ago with my reselling career when I started doing that again about 10 years ago. I think about when I started Whatnot, and I actually think about when I started this YouTube channel like a week and a half ago or whatever it was. And I think about why the reselling business worked, why Whatnot's working, and things like that. And I just appreciate small progress as little as it is. I think that a lot of people expect to go from point A to their goal immediately, and I think it's just this straight line going up, and that's just how it works. And it's not at all. And going back to, let's just start at the beginning. Back when I was a reseller 10 years ago, the reason I got into reselling in the first place, and on a personal level, financially speaking, we were not doing well at all. We were actually in a very bad spot. We were actually at a point where, student loans, car loans, credit card debts, personal loans, it was adding up and it was bad. I think everyone gets to that point at one point in their life where they kind of see, they kind of realize like, okay, like a change needs to be made, and it's up to you to kind of decide to do that. And that's really what it comes down to, is literally making a decision to make a change to see that progress. And so when we decided to get financially in order, because it was a mess about 10 years ago or so. I was about 30 years old. Yeah, 30 years old, married, 4 or 5 year old kid in the house, and trying to get things going and building everything. And it was a goddamn mess. And so I made that decision to kind of learn some things and figure it out to fix this problem. And that actually led me into reselling. That's what got me into reselling in the first place, because I was working on clearing out some personal debts, getting financially good. And my thought was, my wife and I, we have jobs, we have incomes, it's great. But like, how can I do better, and how can we move on forward there and make it happen quicker and better ourselves? And that's how I got to reselling. So I started researching reselling, finances, things like that. And very quickly I fell in love with it. And part of it was because of the progress that was making, but honestly, I just realized that the act of buying things for cheap, selling them for more, putting some extra profit in your pocket, and then utilizing it for whatever you need it for. For us, it was getting rid of debt, personal debt. It was awesome. I absolutely fell in love with it. The love of the hunts, finding products, sourcing different things to sell, the variety of cool things you could find. I quickly went from like doing tag sales and going to thrift stores, Goodwill, Salvation Armies, buying things and reselling them. Generally on eBay first was the way to go. And I very quickly saw that progress of like, oh, I'm knocking out debt here. Like, this is actually working. And when you notice that, you see that progress moving, and it's in your goal, and you're getting towards your goal, and you're moving forward, it lights a fire under you to keep on going. And it's the momentum that you need. Sure, it takes discipline. It takes the will to do it. And more importantly, the want to do it. Because I still believe if you don't want to do something, you're simply not going to do it. And at that point, I wanted, but also needed to make some life changes. And with all that going on, and I started working on this reselling business, and it was very slow to start. I literally started because we were on a budget. We made a budget as a family to work to remove debt. And so I started that reselling business with $20 a week to build this business. And slowly over months and then the years, it really built up because I dedicated a lot of time and effort and energy to it, and I saw the progression of where it was going. Um, and I think that people that look at it the wrong way, as far as, like I said, you want to go from point A to point B. I'm going to start a business. It's going to be, worth $1 billion in a year. That's just simply not how it works. Sometimes that might happen, but it doesn't happen for me. But it's really appreciating the baby steps when you're doing anything. I don't care if you're trying to lose weight. I don't care if you're trying to create a business, create a YouTube channel, Whatnot channel, whatever it is. It's you have to appreciate the journey, because so many people are like, just they're laser focused on like the end of the line, like, oh, I have to get there. But you don't realize, like, the best part is getting there and learning and progressing and figuring out like better, more efficient ways to do things. And over years, I built my business, so my reselling business, and eventually, what was cool was the income was enough to, we paid off our debts, we were good, and I was making more money than I was at my job. So I actually stepped down from my job from a management level to just a part-time worker, working like 20 hours a week for, like, steady little income, which is nice, and I like the job, to being a full-time reseller for, I think it was about 3 years. I did a just it was I was a self-employed and made my own living that way. And I was good at it. I wasn't great at it because I was still new to it. I realized where I failed is I got stagnant, and I kept doing the same thing over and over again, and it was good, it was fine, but I got bored with it, and there wasn't progress. There was no reason to keep pushing forward, because my goal was to remove the debt. We did that, and then it was like, all right, where do I go now? It was funny was is about uh, 7 or 8 years ago, I actually started a YouTube channel to deal with my reselling career and actually go like the day in the life of like the things I did. I started doing storage units, and I started going to auctions and doing all these cool things. Let me tell you something, like when you buy a storage unit at auction and you dig through it and you kind of find the story of this person's life, and you're finding cool things that are valuable you can resell or whatever, it's actually kind of exciting. It's a really fun thing to do. And I progressed to a point and I plateaued, and I realized like that's where I failed, because I stopped learning, I stopped doing new things, and I honestly I kind of got bored with where I was. And so it got to a point where it was right around 2020 actually. It was I think it was COVID was happening. Um and that's I knew that was like the end, because the want to do it was gone. I didn't set myself any goals, and I really didn't. It felt like so much like work, and I really hated it. And so I basically let the business just kind of die. What I did was, for like a year and a half, I stayed part time at my job. I had a lot of inventory, a lot of value in inventory. So I basically lived for about a year and a half on that inventory, and just kind of relaxed for a little while. Honestly, I was probably about 35 years old, give or take. And I was actually just starting to get into Magic the Gathering, and I just recently got into it, and I didn't know what to do. Like, it was the first time in a long time I wasn't building anything, I wasn't working on anything. I really kind of felt lost. I was getting big into Magic, which was nice. I was building a lot of decks, collecting and all that, but that was all I was doing, and I wasn't building anything. And so shortly after, I actually started working on my career again with the same company I've been with, and started working back up there with my career, and it was great. And I love where I am with it now. And then the whatnot thing kind of happened about 2.5 years ago. And again, I kind of mentioned this before, but I got into it and tried it out the first try. Loved the show, loved doing it. And again, I wasn't sure where I was going with it. And so for probably the first year, I would say I was kind of just whatever, buy a booster box, I'd sell it, buy a couple more booster boxes, I'd sell it, but I wasn't really progressing. Sure, I was building an audience. We had, people that would come in on a regular basis, regular buyers. And it was really cool and it was exciting, but it wasn't really, there was no goals. It was just something I did. And it was the beginning of 2024, last year, where I actually decided, like, all right, like, let me see what I can actually do with this. I decided to really go for it. So it was early last year, formed the business, actually made it, like an actual LLC in a business. And I set myself some goals, and that was where it really took off. And because I really wanted to push it, I want to see what I could do. If I wasn't I hired like an accountant and a bookkeeper. I said, if I don't have to handle the financial sides and I can just do the thing that I want to do and have fun with it, kind of outsource the things that suck about running a business, mainly accounting and shit like that, which is boring as hell. And I started saying, like, when I come up against a wall, rather than before my reselling business, if I came up against a wall, I would be afraid of it, and I would shy away from it, and I would just not do anything. I wouldn't progress. Where this was like, no, I'm really gonna push forward and see what happens. And again, can't thank the audience enough, because they're such a huge part of what happens there. But understanding that you're gonna plateau in certain things. Again, you could be lifting weights or working out. At certain points, you're going to plateau. So you have to decide, like, all right, am I just going to stay here and be bored the whole time? Or am I going to try something different and work the way up again? And that's what I've really focused on over the past year, almost a year and a half, since I formed the business, made it like a real thing and really pushed on it, is how can I do something a little different, a little better, make it a little more exciting? I don't even want to say the word profitable because, again, I'm not. It's the best way to say this. I'm not. Um, Money doesn't entice me. Uh, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I do this because I love it, plain and simple. Like I wake up, I look forward to my shows in the morning, and now, which I'm excited about, is I'm looking forward to making these videos. And that alone, when you're not worried about the money aspect, when you're not worried about that, when you're just worried about when you're just enjoying the process of it, I think that's when you've actually started to succeed really well, and you can again appreciate that progress. The last year in 2024, when I really started pushing the Whatnot channel, I started listening to the audience more. I started making sure that I was doing things that they wanted and making it a fun environment for everybody, and which made me enjoy it even more. Um, Watching the followers come along and whatnot, and watching the sales amounts and all the numbers, like that's all great. That is progress, and you see that and you appreciate it. But you can only do so much with so much time you have. I kind of realized that, and I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but something I learned from a reseller a long time ago is there's only so much time in the day. So if you're one person on a one person show, there's only so many physically so many packs I can open in a show, boxes I could sell, things I could package up and ship out. There's only so much I can do. And so I started moving from like say like draft booster boxes, set booster boxes on my show to collector boxes. Now I try to do exclusively collector boxes for most of my sets, unless it's like say like like a double masters, for example. This is a great set for 2020. They do have VIP packs, which we've done before, but damn, they're expensive. Um, those are crazy, but they're a lot of fun. But when I can try to do something a little more, I will. And if there's an audience for it, I think that's a great thing because there's always gonna be somebody that wants to try something or relive something or take a chance in something or just have fun with it. And so that's where the whole whatnot thing has been now for the past year and a half. And the best part is I've removed the stressors and understand that there will be walls and you have to just work through them. Whenever there's a problem, there could be a shipping problem, there could be a logistics problem, there could be a maybe there's a legal problem. I mean, there hasn't been yet. Knock on wood. Hopefully, these things happen, and rather than giving up, you have to push through them to progress even farther, and that's where like the joy really is seeing things move forward. And again, I think it's important for people to understand that things don't happen overnight. It takes a lot of work. I can't tell you, especially over the past year, I'd have a lot of people, newer streamers, and let me back up. Actually, I am far from a professional streamer. I'm far from a professional content creator. I actually hate social media, but like I kind of understand how it works. And many times I've had people come into my streams, especially my whatnot shows, and hey, how did you get here? Where did you get this product? How did you get to do this? How did you learn this? It's trial and error. Like I think the biggest thing is you have to accept the fact that you're gonna fuck up. You're going to, plain and simple. Like you're gonna make mistakes, I think that's where the challenge is when you fuck up and you come to a wall. Are you the kind of person where you're going to figure out a way to climb over it and get past it, or if you're gonna stop right there? Back again when I was a reseller and I thought I was king shit. And I had all this inventory, I was doing all this cool stuff. I doing auctions. It was great. It was great selling on 6 different platforms. But I was a rookie. I was learning. I didn't know what the hell I was. When I look back, I realized I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was flying by the seat of my pants, and it worked out. But that was like a trial run for what I'm doing now. I figure I took all that information I had to kind of move into what I'm doing now, and it's just important to realize that you're going to have that adversity. You're going to have those problems, and you have to realize that you're doing it because you like it. You're doing it because you enjoy it. And the reason my YouTube channel failed years ago, and I'll be very honest with you, is because when I was doing my shows and I was working, I said, "Oh, you know what I can do is I can make a YouTube channel and talk to people about it, and maybe I'll make some money on it." And that was honestly my thought was maybe I'll make some money on it because I was self-employed. It's like how can I make a little bit more money? I need at the time, that was the goal. And once I understood that that's not what you should be working for, then it all starts to make sense. When you actually do something because you love it, if there's money to be made, it'll show up in time, whatever, but the money should never be the main goal you do something. I always said, never take a job for money, never do something just for money. Do it because you love it. Again, and gets me where I am with this YouTube channel now. So I've had an idea. I've wanted to do something with YouTube for years. I've known that I could do something. I just didn't know what. And that's where I'm at now is when I made the video, I wanted to get started and see how it felt. And the biggest thing is how did it feel to me? And I realized that I really enjoyed it. Um, I think that video, that intro video of my channel, it's got like 130 views. That's nothing to big streamers. To someone like me, who I'm just starting this off like a week or two ago, that's awesome. Like that's for me, that's incredible. And I see that progress, and it feels so good. You know, I have 86 subscribers at this point, middle of March 2025. That's awesome. People be like, "Oh man, I've been doing this for a week and I've got only 86 subscribers." That's fucking awesome. Like that's so cool to think that like people like actually might want to listen to what I have to say, see my shorts of cool packs, watch the live videos from whatnot. It's awesome. And I think that if I can just have a couple people say like, "You know what? I agree with what he's saying or disagree," and talk to me about it, it's great. And it was a test for myself to see a week and a half ago. I did the intro video and continued with it because I did that. It was cool. Hey, some people subscribed. We watched some, did some, get some views on there. Awesome. I had some shorts. My whatnot shows have been live streaming there for months. But I never did anything with it. But now when I see that, oh, you know what? If I post a couple of shorts a day and I actually make a video every once in a while, like people actually might want to listen to this. And that's actually kind of cool for me. And I appreciate that small progress. I really do. I realize that while there's an idea I have long term, I'm enjoying this for now. Like this is fantastic. You know, like a day where I get 5 new subscribers. Again, a big YouTube person that's been along for a long time is like, well, that's dog shit. Maybe, but for me, that's fucking awesome. Like I absolutely love it. I think it's the coolest thing ever that like people are actually commenting and talking to me and all that. And so you have to realize that it takes work to make something progress. And I'm curious to see where it's gonna go. You know, I'm the kind of person too where it's like, especially videos like this, like I'm just gonna ramble for a while and just talk. This is how my mind works. OCD and ADD, it's a fantastic thing. But I love seeing that movement. You know, it's like I love seeing again with the Whatnot channel when I can see people having fun. And again, it's the process of doing it. It's not the end game. It's not like, oh, I want to do this so I can this many sales, this many followers. No, you have to do something that's fun to do that you enjoy. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with this in the future. But my biggest message, I think, with this whole thing was, again, I was kind of just telling my story a little bit for some background, but things don't happen overnight, and they're not going to. I mean, yeah, you might win the lottery, but that's kind of a long shot and a waste of fucking money, if you ask me. That's personal opinion. You know, try things out. It's just maybe my advice for this is just I'm a big advocate of like trying shit out. If you've never tried something, try it. You might find something you love. You know, stupid things like I've gone skydiving before, and I was just like, let me try skydiving, and I loved it. You know, when again, it was fantastic. You know, go on a vacation to a certain place. You know, take a road trip or try a sport, try a TV show, whatever it is. You know, I'm a big advocate of trying things out because you never know what you're going to fall in love with. And I think that some of the things that I've tried in life, especially over the past 10 years, have kind of led me to where I am today. And I really think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, I want to become, you know, am I a professional speaker or YouTuber? God, no. I'm just doing this shit because this is what I want to say. And if people want to listen to me, great. That's fantastic. If you don't, swipe away. You know, left, right, whatever you swipe to not like something. I don't know what it is, but it makes me realize more and more that you have to do what you like, as I've said, but you have to not give a shit what other people think. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't want that to seem like a negative thing. I actually mean it as a positive thing. For those people that want to try something, that want to start something, you have to just try it. Like, and I don't want this to sound negative because this is not meant to sound negative, but the majority of people, they're not worried about what you're doing. They're not really concerned about what you're doing. So you kind of have to do your own thing. Will some people look at this video and laugh? Sure. Go ahead. I don't give a shit. I really I could care less because I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this so hopefully maybe somebody gets something out of this from my experience. And I've got a million stories from like my journey that I will eventually share in time. Some successes and failures. But once I understood that once you can get to a point where you're doing something because you want to, because you enjoy it, I think then you can start to actually progress. Because if you're, and I get it, because you can be worried about what other people think. You can be worried about, oh, how am I going to look? I can tell you the first like 30 whatnot shows I did when I first started it 2.5 years ago. I'll be honest with you. I would sit there for an hour with the camera on, my show, my layout, and I wouldn't say a word. I would turn the camera on. People would come in and out, maybe buy a pack, and hey, thanks. Here's your card. I wouldn't tell stories. I wouldn't talk or whatever. And I'll never forget. There was one moment where I realized where I turned it around, and I was like, wait a minute. I go, I'm doing this because I want to do it. Like, what am I worried about? What am I going to be embarrassed about, or worried about what people think? Like, this is my show. Like, I'm doing this for me. And I think that people should really think about that more. Again, I want that to sound in a positive way, not a negative way. That it's not that people are don't worry about what people think. Ultimately, it's up to you to make that change and make that difference. And ultimately, you're making a decision. When I started this YouTube channel, I started my Whatnot channel, when I started my family, everything I've done, I've made a decision to do it. I made a decision to work for the company that I work for. I make a decision every day to go work for them every day. I make a decision every morning to wake up and do my Whatnot show because I want to. One of the biggest things, I really got to start working out. That's my biggest thing I got to add to my day. But the reason I haven't done it is because I haven't decided to add it to my day. It's up to me. It's not up to anybody else. So all those things, and once you start seeing the progress of it, you can start to move forward. And ultimately, it comes down to not giving a shit what other people think about what you're doing, because this is your journey. This is the way you're going to live your life. So fuck what anybody else says. Seriously. It can be tough at first, but once it clicks and you actually really understand that, then you can really start to make a difference and start to do something better for yourself. Appreciate the small progress. That's the biggest thing. Again, like if I get one new subscriber on my YouTube channel today, I'm fucking psyched. Now, if I get none, I don't, whatever. If I lose one, okay, whatever. But like when I get one more, it goes from like 86 to 87, or if it ever gets up to like 100, that's fucking awesome. I know there's people with billions and all that, but like that's not what I'm looking for. I don't want like a bunch of people that are just subscribed for that reason. I'm hoping to maybe connect with people that are like-minded, have same views and different views too. I love listening to different views and learning things. I love being wrong. I think there's very few people that can actually admit that they actually enjoy being wrong, because when you're wrong, you learn something. I had a conversation with a coworker the other day. We're talking about progression with their career, and I asked him a simple question, and I caught everybody off guard in the meeting. I said, "How comfortable are you in your job?" And he was like, I come in, I do my job. He goes, "I'm 100% comfortable." I said, "That's a problem." And he looked at me shocked. I said, "The problem is," I said, "you must be bored out of your mind every day." He was like, "You know what? Actually, sometimes I are. Sometimes I am." I said, "If you're bored and you're stagnant, you have to switch it up. Just switch a small thing, and it can make a big difference long term. But you have to make the decision to do it." And that's what I try to do on like a daily basis. There's some things that I'm working on, and some things that I'm happy where they are, and some things have plateaued. So I'm like, all right, how do I work on those and get them better? And there's only so much time in the day, so you kind of have to, again, make the decision of what am I going to work on today, what am I going to figure out today. And some things you can't figure out in a day. It takes a long time. Some things are short term, some things are long term. But ultimately, I think it's important to know that things won't change unless you make a decision to make that change. You have to decide as an individual, not as what other people are going to think about what I'm doing. Who gives a shit about what they're thinking about? Take care of yourself and figure out what do you want and figure out how to get there. And you have to start. Starting is the hardest thing. Again, when I started this YouTube channel about a week and a half ago, I thought about it for years, probably 5 years. I was like, I want to do something. I didn't know what it was. And it kind of clicked on what I wanted to do. And so I just decided to start. And that was the hardest thing. Once I made that first video, it was like I opened the floodgates. It's like, oh shit, like I can do this, I can do this. And I've got a list a mile long of ideas for future videos I want to do. And I'll get to them when I want to do them. I wasn't planning on doing this video today, but I got the day off of work. I was in the middle of doing a few things. And I said, you know what? I'm in the mood to make it right now. So I wasn't going to make an excuse to not do it. I said, let me just turn the camera and start talking. And so I could probably ramble on for an hour, but I'm probably going to stop about there because, I could start repeating myself, which I'm sure I have 1,000 times. But I don't know if there's any takeaway from this. It's just understand that I didn't do anything different or special. I just started doing shit. I just made a decision to start trying some things. And if it worked, I kept doing it. And I built on it. If it didn't work, though, I pushed it aside. I tried something different. It's like a magic product for my show. I'll bring in a set, and if it doesn't sell, I'm not going to bring it back. If it does, well, okay, let me do more of that. Figure out what works and continue with it. If it doesn't, don't do it. But only if you enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy it, then you're not going to do it for real. You're not going to really enjoy yourself and the actual journey itself. So, but more than anything, appreciate the small progress. If your weight loss goal is to lose 50 pounds, and after a month you've only lost 5, you should be super happy that you made progress. Like that's the point of it. Like you don't just go from losing nothing to losing 50. You lose one at a time. It's very slow. If you're starting a whatnot channel, you don't sell $1 million worth of product in a day. You start by selling a pack of this, maybe a pack of that. And then you start working with the different things and you expand and you move forward and you try things out. And make the decision to do something different and appreciate the progression.